previous Lieutenant Governor of Missouri. He joins us now on the phone, and it's always good to have you, my friend. This is, I mean, I just, I don't think that people can really be surprised if Democrats are, if they're slack-jawed about this, because this is just something that when you call to defund the police and you really do everything you can to run down the morale of police all over everywhere, and you have more officers dropping out than they can even recruit in, people just, they feel emboldened. I mean, if my mom saw me doing something out like this, she would drag me off the cop car by the hair and beat me to death in front of full view, in front of everybody there on that street. But yet now this is like the new normal, I guess. Tell me about this, because I know crime has been increasing everywhere, and particularly in Missouri cities.
Well, yes, Dana, thanks for having me back. And I can tell you that they're not just calling for defunding police in St. Louis, in the city. They're not just calling for defunding police in our other major urban area, Kansas City, on the western side of the state. Both new administrations, in the case of St. Louis, the mayor was just elected last month, Tishara Jones, and she has pushed through in her first weeks in office a defunding of the police. And it is alarming. It alarmed many of us back when the destruction of the city of St. Louis was just a gleam in progressives' eyes. But now they're bringing it about. This Washington Avenue is just west and just north, a few blocks from where the Cardinals play at Busch Stadium, as you know. It's just down Washington Avenue, about 5 or 6 blocks from where conventions, they try to attract conventions to come to St. Louis. And what you had was apparently a massive party with over 100 people on a rooftop in the neighborhood along Washington Avenue, and it got very, very noisy, and that appears to have been a B&B. So people rent a B&B in order to throw a massive party. And the cops had 13 or 14 complaints, calls about the noise. So they go up to break up that party, and the young people go down on Washington Avenue and start just mayhem and chaos down there. And there was one car and only one police car there, and they started jumping on it, jumping on the hood, then jumping on the rear of the car, dancing on the roof, anywhere they could. I think you can count 12 or 15 young people out there dancing on the roof of this car, and he obviously, there's no sound, but he obviously called for backup. A citywide backup officer in distress went out. 2 cars raced up, and that's where the video ends.
Wow.
As those people scatter in all directions. But they did not even file a police incident report, Dana. There is more witness testimony from there Saturday night, 2 nights ago, that shots were being fired as cars are racing around downtown, up and down Washington Avenue and the other streets. And I can just tell you that, there is a very thin line for all of us between proper respect for law enforcement and utter chaos, anarchy, and barbarism. And that's what we saw ruling the streets of the city of St. Louis, the once great city of St. Louis, on Saturday night.
Yeah, and they've been talking to former Missouri Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder, and Kane and I were reminiscing just about, I remember when they were I was in high school, I think, when they really were starting this Rehab Washington Avenue. So much money, billions of dollars went into this. Rehab Washington Avenue, because the theory was if we make it attractive for people to, come out and eat and have entertainment, and just, they really made it very much like a pedestrian, everything was very,
Yes.
You could walk everywhere. And all of this.
They called it the entertainment district.
Yeah.
Entertainment district.
And now it's, this is after lockdown, post-pandemic recovery. And I get it that people are probably excited to get out, but at the same time, this, at least people aren't, you can't be jumping on a cop car. We just can't be that. But there's soaring crime in this city. You and I have talked about Kim Gardner before. Here you have the circuit attorney in St. Louis who was letting out all these people without even any charges after they were caught rioting in St. Louis during that several nights of lawless chaos following the death of George Floyd. But people were burning down buildings. My friend, who is a veteran, has a building where he has his products stored, and they were setting fire to that building. And then, of course, you had David Dorn, the retired police captain who was murdered, and all these people that were doing all this destruction were released without any charges being filed. I mean, really, ultimately, that's what's happening here. And then who's going to be policing this and keeping the streets safe when there's no morale? And as from what I'm hearing, St. Louis is having just as much problem as any other city trying to recruit officers.
Dana, I can just tell you what has come to St. Louis is what has come to Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, L.A., Baltimore, cities all over America that elect these entirely Democrat-run cities from top to bottom. That many cases, as in St. Louis, for 70 years that's been the case, if not longer. And they elect these prosecutors. I'll put that in quotation marks. They're not real prosecutors. They're George Soros handpicked non-prosecutors. And in the case of the one you named, the prosecutor for the city of St. Louis, her name is Kim Gardner, and she follows a criminals first policy. It's criminals first. It's not public safety. It's criminals first. And Democrats, my Democrat friends in the city of St. Louis and in the region, wonder why their candidates don't do better in statewide elections anymore. They wonder why Donald Trump could carry Missouri by 19 points as he did the first time out, and why the last couple times we've had every Republican on the ballot elected in the presidential cycle. There is no confidence. This is not the Democratic Party of your grandfathers, my grandfathers, and great-grandfathers. This is a radical left-wing policy that is at war with reality. And the poor, and in most cases, minority folks in the city of St. Louis and Chicago and all these other cities, they're paying the price.
Mm-hmm. No, they are. That is, they absolutely are. Well, this has been insane to see, and I just hope that, people come to their senses, but I don't know. I mean, I just don't think that the defunding of the police and the soaring crime, that's not going to be something that they're going to be able to maintain for that much longer. That is for sure. And I have to say,
Dana,
go ahead. Sorry.
Dana, I'm sorry. Your listeners could see this video that you and I are referring to. There's two of them at least. Mm-hmm. They're about 30 seconds. And the Twitter handle for the St. Louis Police is at STLMPD, standing for St. Louis Metropolitan PD. They're asking if folks can identify any of these people, because to this point there have been no arrests with this outrageous conduct. So at STLMPD.
I'll do that. They'll do that. Peter Kinder, always a pleasure. And I have to point out too, you were telling me too about the 8th Ward Democratic Committee woman who's saying, I'm concerned to see officers driving so recklessly around pedestrians. Maybe pedestrians shouldn't be in the street jumping on cars. I mean, it's just a thought. Just a thought.
And she was joking about it being better than Footloose.
Oh, for the love. For the love. Oh, you reminded me that Washington, D.C., our associate producer who lives out there, he only just got the go-ahead to even get near people and dance to music out there. Yeah, speaking of Footloose, I mean, this would be a big bad no-no out there just until last weekend? Oh, my gosh. Peter Kinder, always a pleasure, my friend. We appreciate you. Talk soon.
Thank you, Dana.
Of course.